ICS3U, this lesson will go over how to join and split strings. So we're going to be joining characters up, a list of characters into a string, and then splitting a string into a list of characters and doing things like that. So here's Visual Studio Code. I've already created a project called Join and Split. And our first thing we'll be doing is making a list of letters. So letter list, and it's just going to spell out hello. Notice I'm using single quotes for characters. That's very common to use single quotes as characters. I think we talked about that already, and that's the preferred method of doing it. I think Python will actually complain if you don't, because single quotes are for characters or letters, and then double quotes are for strings. But these are characters. This is a string or a list of characters. So what we're going to do now is use the join method to join it up. First of all, I've got to create my string. So I'm going to just call it string letters, and it's going to be empty. But now what I can do is because string letters is now a string, it has a method available in it called join. And it allows me to join things in a list. So in this case, all the letter lists together into a string called str letters. Now that's not actually going to store it anywhere. So in order to store it somewhere, we have to, well, here's one way we could do it. We could just print it out. So use the print statement around it. And now you can see that it prints out each letter of our letter lists all together, H-E-L-L-O. So it has joined them all. Instead of using a print statement, I'll just put a comment in front of that. You could also do this. str new equals str complete equals str letters. Hold on. I just do str letters equals str letters dot join letter list. And then you have to print it. So printing str letters, it now has all of the characters joined together in the form of a string. So I'll put a comment here saying this is joining a list of characters into a string. And the other way around is splitting. So splitting a string into a list. So if we want to split a string into a list, we just did this with the grade 12s recently, and you may have heard them heard us talking about this, but there's something called a delimiter. And with a comma separated list, the delimiter is the comma. It delimits all of the tokens or all of the values. So I'm going to say num string. I'm going to call that num string. So there's my string. And I want to separate it. Actually, I'm not going to put any spaces here. It's just going to be just the comma. And now we're going to say num list is equal to numstring.split. And we have to say how we're going to split it. And you can see that Visual Studio Code is telling you that you can enter a separator. So my separator is going to be the comma. And now if we print numList, it's going to print the entire list. Python lets us do this for debugging purposes. So you can see that it's taken 1, 5, 7, 2, -9, put them all into separate values. However, I want you to notice that those values are still characters. They're not they're not integers, because we started off with a string. So if you start off with a string, that's when you can use split. And it'll split it into strings or characters. What if we had another, I'm going to show you another example now, splitting a string of words into a list. So suppose we want to do some calculating to see how many words are in a sentence. Well, we could start off like this. We could say sentence equals the sky is sometimes blue. So there's my sentence. And then we could say word list equals sentence.split. And we're going to split along the spaces this time. So our separator is the spaces. So what would happen if we printed out word list all at once? Remember, it's not a great idea to print lists all at once, but it's okay for debugging purposes. So now you can see that each word is in our list. So this is a list of strings. Now, of course, the correct way to do this would be to for I in range 0 to the len of word list. It's one way of doing it. And then print word list of I. And then you can see it shows the sky is sometimes blue. If you don't want to have an enter key at the end of each one, you can do this. You can do and equals, and then just empty quotes. So instead of a new line character, it'll just put empty quotes. And then you can see that it shows the sky is blue sometimes blue, all one word, without any here's a new style of a for loop. I'm going to just comment this out. And here's a new style that we can use. We can say for, and I'll use X, in word lists, print X. So this is kind of interesting because it's shorthand for a regular for loop. So for every value it finds in word list, it's going to print it. And there you go. That's a much easier way of doing the for I in range. So instead of for I in range, just say for X in word list. So basically, it's saying for every value, starting at location 0, go up to the end of it and print each value individually. You can still do something like this where you do and equals. You can put a space in there too. And then at the very, very end, I'm going to put a regular print statement. So it'll go to the next line. Let's see if that works. So you can see the last line. It says the sky is sometimes blue, goes to the new line after. So there's a lot of code in here. I kind of quickly went over it, but you should know how to use split and also join. And you'll get some practice with those things in the new set of classwork. That's it for now.